Well, it's the middle of October and we have made it through our first 9 weeks of school, so I thought I would share a quarter one update today. Hey everybody, welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. If it's your first time here, welcome to my channel. My name's Abby and I'm a homeschooling mom of 2 high schoolers. And I cannot believe we have already finished 9 weeks of school. Like, this year is flying by already, and I know that quarter 2 is going to go even faster because we are quickly approaching the holidays. In fact, somebody said today that, did you realize there's only like 9 weeks till Christmas? What do you mean there's only 9 weeks till Christmas? I have so much to do before Christmas. So I know that quarter 2 is going to fly by super quickly. But as many of you have probably found, if you've been homeschooling for a while, there are always things that you really love that you're doing and you want to continue building upon those. And then there are things that, aren't working out quite the way you want them to, and you might need to make some adjustments. And so we have had both. We've had things we've loved. We've had things we've seen that we just need to change or make adjustments on. And then I have some new things that I'm introducing in quarter 2 that I'm really excited about, and I will share. Down in the description box below, I will go ahead and I will link the videos for my 9th grade, 10th grade, and group subject curriculum choices. So if you want to hear more about the different curriculums that we're using or find links to those specific ones, you'll find it in those videos. Anything new that we are introducing for quarter 2 that I mentioned, I will link those below in the description box for you as well. So let's go ahead and jump on in and we'll start talking about the things that went really well for us. All right, so the first thing I wanted to say that we loved, and we introduced this in our group studies this year, were our Daily Grace Co. Devotional studies. So rather than doing just like a formal Bible study curriculum, I had gone through and I'd purchased a couple of different Daily Grace Co. devotional units for us to do. We finished one completely in quarter 1, and then we started on our second one. So the first thing that we finished was called More Than Anything, and this was a study on idolatry. Loved this. Loved this. It covered so many different areas of life, things from, relationships to physical objects to motivations, and it was just a fantastic look into the things and how we can make them more important than God in our lives. Oh, it was just so good. Like, I found myself, really just, it opened my eyes. Let's just put it that way. So even if you don't use this with your kids, this is a fantastic study to do on your own. And then the one that we are currently in is Emotions of the Heart. And we are only a couple of weeks into this one, but we talked about how, so far we've talked about how, we're made in God's image, and that means that our emotions are not inherently bad. It's how we respond to them, and when we let sin influence our emotions or allow our emotions to get out of control, or our reaction to emotions to get out of control. So it's been really interesting so far, quite enjoying this, and we're whipping through this one pretty quickly. And for quarter 2, I'm really excited because when we finish Emotions of the Heart, we are going to move into our Advent study. And I just got it in the mail the other day. And again, it's from Daily Grace Co. And I wanted to share this with you because it's a beautiful set. It's got so many cool things in it. And I got one of the family bundles. They have like an ultimate family bundle, which has a whole bunch of extra stuff, including like mugs and pillows and all this other stuff. But I got the one that was mostly just materials, or you can purchase just the individual Bible study. So I'm going to show you all of the goodies that came in my Advent box. So this was actually a bonus gift because I had ordered it early, but they sent this cute little bag that says Glory in the Highest. And I'm just going to keep all of our Advent materials in there for right now. And if you see me reaching down, I have like everything on the floor in front of me. So this came with 2 different versions of the Bible study, and the study is called Hope Has Come. It is an Advent study, so it's designed to be done over the weeks of Advent. And this is the men's version, and then this is the women's version. Most of the time what I have found is that the women's version is the one that we will use. The extra one came with the set. I didn't really intend for us to need it, so I may just gift this away to a friend, but we are going to be doing this study together as a family, and it does focus on this season. It seems like it is focusing on the Advent candles and what each one of them means, and then taking you through that. So week 1 we cover hope, week 2 peace, week 3 joy, and week 4 love, and then we'll have the studies each day. But their books, if you have not done them before, they're just beautiful books. So they all have a picture, devotionals for each day, specific readings that you can do, and then there's usually a page where it has the questions that go along. And again, if you've watched any of my like morning basket videos, you know that I write my answers into the books. My kids each have a devotional journal. They write their answers in there, and then we discuss. So we got those in there. It also came with Prayers for Advent, this beautiful little prayer journal. And I don't know if we'll necessarily do this as part of group. I haven't really looked at it enough yet to decide, or if I'm just gonna do this kind of as an on my own kind of thing. But I just thought it was gorgeous, and I love that idea of writing down prayer. It also came with these Advent candle cards. So each one has a candle on it, and it tells about the Advent candle for that week. So we are gonna set up an Advent wreath with the candles, and I thought these would just be nice little prompts for us to have something to read each week as we light the different candles. So it's just got one for each candle, along with a reading. And then they come with these little ornaments, and I'm sorry, those are gonna glare. So they've got, you know, toppers that you put onto them to hang. And we got something similar to this last year. Last year's devotion kind of took you through the Jesse tree. And I just put like a mini tree down in our basement. And as we did these, we hung them up on there. And you might think that this is a little young for my kids being in high school, but we actually had fun with it last year, reading them and setting them up. So each day when you do that study, you can read the card and you can add the card to the tree. So we did do this with the Jesse tree ornaments last year, and we're gonna go ahead and we'll do it with these Advent ones this year. The last two parts that came with this set, they have a family devotional. Now this, I think, from how it reads and how the one last year read, it's really geared towards families that have some younger kids. So if you're looking to do a family devotional and you've got multiple age groups, you could probably do this version of the book with just your, you know, as with your family as a whole. And then maybe you and your husband would want to do the individual men's and women's studies, or maybe have your older kids do those studies, because it does cover the same topics. It's just a pared down version of it, you know, simplified for that age. Actually, what I tend to do with these is I look them over and I work these into an Advent study that we can do with the Sunday school class that I teach. So I kind of use these books as inspiration to kind of create a Advent Sunday school program. And then it did come with the board book as well. I got a board book last year that went along with it. And again, I just donated these to my Sunday school class that I teach. So this one's called The Promised One, and it's just a cute little children's book. And so that's what we're going to do, is I'm just going to donate this to our preschool Sunday school class to use. So I'm really excited to jump into that during Q2, and we've just been loving those devotions overall, and I'm so glad we did that this year. Definitely gonna keep it up for the next quarter. All right, the next thing that has been going really well has been chemistry. So my daughter is doing Discovering Design with Chemistry, written by Dr. Jay Wiley for Barium Builders. And he had written many of the previous science textbooks she had done, that we had done through Apologia in previous years. And we are doing chemistry with one of her friends. So she has a friend who comes over 2 days a week, and I essentially kind of do like a lecture on that week's materials, and then they'll do the experiments together and the tests at the same time. And I think she's really enjoyed having somebody to do those lab experiments with. I think it just makes it a little more fun than doing it on your own. We have had to kind of tweak the schedule a bit, because of course when I first figured out our lesson plan for the year, I was assuming it was just going to be her. So it really didn't matter what day of the week things fell on. But then when her friend's parents asked if I could help teach chemistry, I realized, well, we're gonna have to shift things around in order to get like the labs and the tests on days that she's able to come over. So I have been kind of tweaking the schedule as we've gone along to move those things, and really looking at how can I make this learning more fun. For example, and if you haven't done chemistry, this won't make a whole lot of sense, but we were talking about valence electrons and electron configurations and how things bond. And everything was stuff they were doing, you know, they were writing it down on paper. And I think it was just hard to really understand it. So I found like a bag of old M&Ms in the pantry, and I brought them downstairs, And I said, okay, the red M&Ms are your hydrogens, show me the electrons around it. And then we started doing different like elements with their electron configurations and how they bonded using M&Ms. And it was so cool to see them just kind of moving it around and trying to solve the problems I was giving them, with something interactive. And so with that thought in mind, I went ahead and I ordered this kit from Amazon. This is a chemistry model kit. It's got like 400 pieces in it. So I'm, pretty excited about it. But it comes with different color and size, like atoms. And then you've got these different color connectors to represent different types of chemical bonds. So we've got like hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ones. And then different types of bonds, long bonds, short bonds, double bonds, single bonds. So as we kind of get into this part of chemistry that's much more visual, like understanding how things are coming together, I think having something like this where they can manipulate it and really put it together will be helpful for them. They both said that they really enjoyed the hands-on part with the candy. Not even, we didn't even eat it because we were, fingering it and sliding it all over the table, but just having something to kind of manipulate. I mean, it kind of brought me back to the whole idea of like math manipulatives, but for chemistry. And so that has been really helpful for us to do in the chemistry course. Another subject that has been just amazingly positive has been the cultural geography course from Guest Hollow. This was our first year using any Guest Hollow curriculum, and it is a living book based program. So they give you, a schedule of what to do on different days, and they give you this huge list of things to choose from: books and movies and YouTube videos and activities and printables and recipes. I mean, there's so much, and it is a bit hard to pick and choose like which things you want to do. And my son has, of course, loved the cooking. He loves being able to make recipes every week that come from different countries. So far in quarter one, he's studied countries in South America, Mexico, the US, Canada, Antarctica. And we have just shifted gears and now we are in Europe. In fact, week 10 is the United Kingdom and Ireland, I believe. And so, we're getting over to those European countries, and I just have loved this. There are so many fabulous books, and I have been doing the reading assignments right alongside him for this course. And same thing with my daughter's course she's doing from them. And I am learning something new every single day. It doesn't even feel like a chore to sit and like read those books that he's reading, because I'm just fascinated by all of the stuff that he's learning. And he's engaged with it. He's finding out some really cool facts. And we've got him doing narration journals. And quarter two, the plan is to have him start choosing something he wants to make his like big project. So he has a choice of either writing a research paper, at least a 5-page research paper on a topic that he's studied in that first semester, or putting together a presentation with a speech to give to the family. And that's going to be like a big part of his grade for the first quarter. But I wanted to show you some of our favorite books that we have been doing for this class. And some of these were bought used, so if they look a little beat up, that's why. But we have been using Hungry Planet, which introduces families from different parts of the world. And then it tells you, let me find a starting page. So it'll tell you about that family. So here's one like from Bosnia. So it tells you kind of like this tiny little list here of what they might eat in a week and what the average cost in US dollars is for the food that they eat. And it tells you more about the family in detail, where they live, what they do, and then it'll tell you a bit about some like dietary challenges. For example, when he was studying Mexico, we learned that like sugary pops were a huge part of every family's diet, or a very common part of families' diets. And that has contributed a lot to a rise in diabetes in families there. And then they can't necessarily get access to the medical care that they need to manage their diabetes. And so that's just one challenge we saw in that country. And then access to different types of foods in different countries, what they can and can't get or can and cannot afford. So it's been really interesting to see that. And along a similar line, we have this book called Material World. And this is like a portrait book of families in different parts of the world. And it tells you about a specific family. And then it will have pictures showing like the inside of their homes and their lives and things like that. And just a really, great way to start looking beyond just plain geography facts about a country. We're actually looking at real families in those countries. And then another book that we have really liked has been the Religions book. Now this book, because we're studying a lot of different countries, obviously there's lots of different religions practiced around the world. And this gives a straightforward and, in my opinion, very unbiased view on different religions. It tells you, straight facts. Here's what they believe. Here's what they practice. Here's kind of what's happened with that religion over the, last couple centuries or last couple decades, or where it developed and things like that. So it doesn't tell you that they think any one religion is wrong or right. It simply gives you the facts about it. And so it's just been a really interesting read to see how the belief systems are in different parts of the world. And again, that helps to kind of more understanding like the culture as a whole, versus just, straight geography facts about a country. So cannot recommend this enough. If you'd like a really great living book curriculum, it's fantastic. On that same note, I'm going to switch gears and show you about my daughter's botany course from Guest Hollow. So my daughter is doing the botany course from Guest Hollow. We're actually just doing it as kind of a elective course. And if you like plants, this is a perfect course for you. Again, it covers kind of a focused topic every week, but you're introduced to different types of trees and flowers, different aspects of plants. She deep dove one week into leaves, and this week she's focusing on seeds and different types of seeds and how different things affect them. There have been a couple of experiments that we've chosen to do, and she's been like okay on the experiments, but of course she loves the cooking. She loves being able to take some of the things that they're talking about in here and then, turning them into the recipes. And there's usually recipes that are recommended. Just this past week, she studied cardamom, and so she made cinnamon rolls that used that. And one week was potatoes, so she did a bunch of potato dishes, and then there was yams. And so, each week, again, it just introduced something different. But I have to show you, I hope this will show up on the screen. So she's been doing the narration journal, and a couple days a week, she has to include drawings. And, so she's just filling these out with her drawings and her notes. And I don't know, I just think this is so fun. It's fun for me to grade because I love seeing her little sketches in here. I need to get her like some colored pencils so she can color it in. But she has just been doing a great job. And I hope that she wants to keep this because, if she doesn't, Mom's putting this in the memory box because I just think it's so cute to see all of her drawings. I just love it. But again, she's got a couple of books that have been the favorites so far this year. And so the first one she really likes is called 100 Flowers and How They Got Their Names. So it has flowers in here in alphabetical order. And it doesn't just say like, here's the name of it, but it gives you some detail about the different flowers and where their scientific name came from and also where their more common name came from. And then you get a little bit more of, a history about them. And that's been just really interesting to hear about different plants, ones that we have in our own garden. And I had no idea, this kind of history about them. Along the same lines, we have 50 plants that changed the course of history. And these ones give you kind of a cool backstory on, like, for example, here's rubber, backstory on the plant and what's important. And then sometimes it kind of veers off and it gives you like a story that's related to that plant. For example, when we talked about sugar, there was like this whole big thing about like towns that were built around sugar processing and things like that. So it's a fun read and you get a lot of good information about it. So she's like that one. And then she said, hands down, the favorite book is Wicked Plants. So it's Wicked Plants, the weed that killed Lincoln's mother and other botanical atrocities. So it sounds funny, but it is a fun book. So when it gives you a plant, it tells you if it's like illegal, dangerous, intoxicating, painful, a hallucinogen, or merely offensive. And then it tells you about that plant along with some interesting stories about it. But she says it's just been really, really interesting because even some plants that she didn't realize were considered like poisonous plants are around, our home in our area. And so just getting some extra info on them. So those have been kind of the top 3 books from the first 9 weeks of the botany course. And it's so hard to pare down what you want to do and just pick a few things. And that's probably the biggest challenge, is deciding what are you willing to leave out and what is it that you absolutely want to do. But so much fun. On the literature side of things, we had some hits and we had some misses, some things that we need to tweak. So my son finished the first 2 units of his BJU literature, and then he did a novel study. And his first novel study was The Hiding Place. And this is the story of Corrie ten Boom, a Dutch watchmaker, and just reading from the back, became a heroine of the resistance, a survivor of Hitler's concentration camps, and one of the most remarkable evangelists of the 20th century. So this is the story of her, and is trying to escape capture from the Nazis, and then ultimately how they survived the Nazi death camps. So true story. And we did this along with a novel study that I got from Seven Sisters Homeschool. I had gotten a collection on sale of several different book studies all at once, and then I just was kind of picking and choosing which ones we wanted to do. So this book was really good. I think anytime you can do a true story or a biography, it's fantastic what you can learn. So if you're looking for something for your high schooler to read, this would be a highly recommended book. It would go great if you were doing like a World War II unit and you wanted to incorporate some other literature, beyond the textbook. On the flip side, my daughter is doing apologia literature. And I mentioned this in, my video where I talk about like if your kid says they hate school. So my daughter had told me that she was starting to feel a bit overwhelmed, like a bit just overloaded on things. And a lot of it was because we were seeing a whole bunch of writing assignments kind of overlapping. It was just getting really heavy. So she has to write, there's essays that are assigned with her history course. She has weekly writing assignments with her IEW writing course. And then the literature will, when you're doing the questions that go along with each story, kind of randomly, it will work in a question and it'll ask for, so many 100 words in a response, or it'll ask you to respond in an essay. And then for each unit test, there is at least one longer essay that is due. And it was just kind of getting to be too much for her all at once. So I didn't want to, necessarily cut the essays out from literature, because I think that's, important, but rather it's going to be looking at how I'm breaking down things and assigning them. And that might mean that we just need to stretch out her assignments a bit more and not work at the same pace that we were trying to keep up for the first quarter. So that might mean that we need to, push out, and she'll have like at least a full 180 days to get through the curriculum, because we're big on finishing the curriculum. So I'm going to kind of go through and look at how many pages it's asking her to read in a given day, and then how in-depth are the questions. Because she has said there are some days where it's just quick, short answers, and she can whip through 10 questions really quickly. And some days it's 10 questions where it's like, you feel like you're writing a paragraph for every single one. So I need to just be a bit more diligent about looking at that. But then it kind of ties in with what we're going to do for history. So if you've used BJU's distance learning for history, especially their high school ones. So in the ninth grade course on up, they assign essays at different points. And usually it's like an essay every other week or so, at least every other week, there's an essay assigned. And they give you a printout in their handouts that's like a full page for the essay to take notes on. But the way they line it up is they want you to do like a full 5-paragraph essay. So intro, conclusion, and 3 arguments, and it gives you a topic. Now we saw this in her, she did the distance learning course last year, and we saw the same issue where it gave a topic that was kind of related to the chapter, or it was mentioned in the chapter, but the textbook itself provided almost no information needed to write those essays. And so you couldn't just read the chapter and look over your notes and then be able to write this essay. You had to go online and find new resources, or you had to dig through extra resources. And not that doing that is bad. I just think that asking a student to do that every other week, in addition to the workbook pages and the quizzes online and the tests and keeping up with the reading, I agree with her. That's a bit much. So we're not going to eliminate essays yet. We might by quarter 3, but instead, I'm just going to ask her to write a paragraph instead of an essay. So, just 1 paragraph on that idea. And that way she should be able to find, enough within the textbook and her notes to be able to do a solid paragraph answering that question, as opposed to needing to go do a bunch of outside research to write a long essay. And I think that will make it, a little easier for her, and, just kind of cut down on all of the heavy writing assignments that she's had. I mean, the program is still really good, but just kind of be aware if you've got your kids doing, a couple heavy courses, you might want to look and see, do we have to do all of this? Because, I wouldn't have known that she was feeling that overwhelmed if she hadn't mentioned it to me. And I'm glad she did, because we can make that adjustment and see how she feels about it as we go through quarter 2. All right, another thing that we're going to make a slight tweak to is how we are approaching art history. So we are doing the Master and His Apprentices, and again, this is just my notes and the teacher guide, because the textbook is a PDF on our computers. So what we had been doing was having us all kind of spend some time on Tuesdays reading the chapter or the portion of the chapter that was assigned, and then we had some discussion questions, and I had just told the kids, take a couple of notes and then we'll discuss it on Thursday. And I feel like we're just not getting enough out of the discussions yet for me to think that method is going to keep working. So what we're going to try to do, so we are in the process of studying for the first test. So we started reviewing the test material today, and then they'll take the test next week, and then they finish their first paper. So when we get ready to start the next chapter after that, instead of doing like one day that's just reading and then one day that's just discussion, I think what we're going to do is we'll take turns kind of reading out loud from the chapter and hitting those discussion questions as we go. So that way, we've got the textbook in front of us, we're looking at the images, and we can more easily answer those questions, jot down notes, and just really look at those art pieces. I think it might make us take a little bit longer per chapter, because you can only read so fast out loud, and you don't want to necessarily sit there and read 10 pages out loud in one day. So we may have to break it up over a few more days, but I just think we'll get more out of it by having that combination of hearing it and seeing it and writing it. I'm almost tempted. I know I said this, I did not want to print this textbook. It's so big and it's so much printing. But I might have to just like suck it up and do it. Just again, to make it easier for us to be able to look at it and reference it. I mean, we do have 2 laptops, so we could have 2 laptops open and looking at it, but I don't know, there's just something hard to me about like reading computer screens, and I just don't like it. So I could never be a Kindle person. I want the book. So I might just print it. I mean, I have one of those Eco Tank printers, so I mean, I can, but it's a lot of ink to use. So, but we might do that. The last little update for quarter 2, I had said in my October goals video, I wanted to find something just a little more lighthearted to add to our morning basket for the holidays. And some of the stuff we'll do for the Advent study, we'll kind of fulfill that in December. Even though it's a good study, I just feel like that's a little more lighthearted. But for November, I did purchase the Giving Thanks program from Campfire Curriculums. So this is one of their seasonal programs that they're only available like during this time of year, the 2 Thanksgiving ones they have, and then they'll have a Christmas one. And I had never purchased any of their curriculum before. And they do have like a little disclaimer in here saying that they have different levels for this. So they have like an early learner, and then they have like growing, which I think is supposed to be elementary, and then advanced, which is older kids. And it does say that they combined the growing and the advanced together. And I do totally see that. I printed it all off, what was listed as like the advanced section, 85 pages in all, and I looked at it after I printed it. So if you purchase this, the first thing I'm gonna say is open up the PDF and then only print what you actually need, because I can tell you that about half these pages we're not gonna use. And so I'm kind of kicking myself for printing them. But it has 12 lessons: Thanksgiving traditions, the tradition of Thanksgiving, the turkey part and parades, gratitude, grace, break, Thanksgiving break, pilgrims and natives, proclamation, Thanksgiving character, Thanksgiving horns, Thanksgiving the day before. There are some different types of activities in here from what I've seen just at kind of first glance. I mean, there is like a story, there are some discussion questions, there's a Bible focus and things like that. And then there are a lot of things in here that I do kind of feel are geared more towards like your elementary age students. I mean, there's some crafts and some different type of game ideas and things like that. There are some recipes, so we might pick some of these to do. Some of them I know just from looking at them, my kids would like roll their eyes and be like, we are not 5 and we won't do that. So I do need to look through it more closely and determine like what it is we'll actually do from this. But I was just hoping to find something that kind of fit with the season that was a little more lighthearted. Right now I do have it loose. My plan is to go ahead and spiral bind it with my cinch. So that way it's a little easier to manage. So I will look at it a little more closely. Again, it looks like it would be great if you had multiple ages that you were doing at one time. I don't have that. I don't have any younger students. Both of my kids are high schoolers. So, I got to kind of keep in mind that they will get into some fun things, but they don't want me to try to force them to do things that they feel are like too kiddish for them. So I'm just going to have to kind of pick and choose and see what things I can find throughout this. But it's our first time doing anything from Campfire Curriculums. They have some other programs that are definitely geared towards older kids that I think would be great for electives, but we will see what we think of Giving Thanks in Q2. All right, guys, that wraps it up for today. I just wanted to share a little bit about our Q1, how it went, and what things we were adding, subtracting, tweaking for Q2. Anything new that we are adding for this quarter, I will go ahead and I will put the links for those down below. I will also, again, link the videos for my grade 9, 10, and group subject videos down there for you as well. In the description box of those particular videos, I do have links to all of the curriculum that we are using for this year. So thanks so much for watching today's video, everybody. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you can be notified when I post new videos. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. I can't talk today. Oh, I believe my microphone broke. It actually just snapped into pieces. So nothing sounds right on today's video, which is great. The basement is freezing because Indiana has decided that the weather's gonna go to pot this week. Just reached down to grab a book off the floor and there's a spider. It's like this big crawling across my floor. And I don't like killing spiders because, they're helpful and it can go outdoors, but I don't want to touch it. So I'm not moving for a minute. I'm gonna wait for my son to come downstairs and put him in a cup.